Well, good morning, everybody. How we doing? Doing well? All right. Well, welcome. Really glad you guys are here this morning. It's going to be a good, quick 2 hours. So I'm going to go over some housekeeping stuff. I know we're sitting at round tables. That's for you guys to have some community, to be able to talk. But if your back is towards me, feel free to, flip your chair around for me and as Amy comes up here. So we're here because we want to learn about how to be a better parent. Agreed? All right. How many of you guys feel like you got it? You got it. You're here to give some tips to some other parents that are here. No, that's probably not the case. So my name is Todd. I'm the family pastor here at Illuminate. I graduated a son from high school a few years ago. He's a junior at ASU, and I have a senior. So I've been through it a little bit with two boys. I still don't have it figured out. So we're just going to be praying for you guys, right? The ones, especially with the little kids. But today's going to be really impactful. Again, it's going to be just couple hours of your guys' time, and I really think this morning is going to be a sweet time just to learn and ask questions. So let me go over a couple housekeeping things. Again, you guys got some water, some snacks, all that kind of stuff out there. Feel free to grab more coffee. If you guys don't know where the bathroom is, it's down the hallway right there to your right. On the table, there are some journal books. You can take some notes for a lot of the content that you'll be hearing this morning. Also, what we did for you guys is we provided a copy of Amy's book, Parenting on Purpose, and it's gonna be one per couple, all right? One per couple for that book. If you do wanna buy some other books, Amy will have some available in the back, and you can grab one on the way out if you wanna gift that. Feel free to pick up some more copies. We also have a QR code on the table, so you can pull out your smartphone, you can scan that, because after Amy's done with the first session, we're gonna just go to a question and answer time, and she'll be able to answer some of the questions that you guys may have, but that's how we're gonna do it this morning, is you're gonna scan that QR code, and we're gonna start getting those questions populated through that, all right? And I figured we would do something fun because somebody here, actually there's a couple of you guys, they're gonna win a few things this morning. So I just figured we'd start the morning out by giving away a date night. Does anybody wanna get a date night? All right, that sounds good. So I got $50 to cold beer and cheeseburgers and movie tickets, all right? So here's how we're gonna do this. I'm just going to shuffle this around, and I'm going to pick this one. All right, if you have a birthday in June, raise your hand. Birthday in June. All right, so that's only 3 people. All right, you're in the running right now. All right, here we go. This says the 19th. When's your birthday? 6th? Who else was it? 27? 3. Right there. Winner, chicken dinner. All right. There you go. Enjoy. Well, hey guys, as I said, we have a special morning. We're gonna be doing 2 sessions with our guest speaker, and I'd like to introduce her. I'm sure she's gonna talk about herself a little bit, but I would like to introduce her just so you get a little bit of feel for her. She was born in Indianapolis, Indiana. She's been married 26 years, I would say, to her rough and tough husband named Keith, who played professional hockey for the Blackhawks, for the Phoenix Coyotes, so he's local. They got settled down here in 2008, and she's extremely busy herself with 6 children. Amy's been walking with the Lord for 8 years. She's authored 2 books, the one that you have at the table, and she likes long walks on the beach. No, I'm just kidding, she doesn't. But she does like to hike, she likes to journal, and she serves on the Scottsdale school board, which is really cool. She doesn't really love sports, she said, but she comes from a sports family, so I don't know if she's gonna talk about that at all. And then lastly, she said she would rather read than watch TV. All right, so that's your speaker for the morning. Everybody welcome up Miss Amy Carney.
See if this is working. It's working. That's great. All right, let me get set up here for a second. I just thank you so much for being here this morning. There are so many places to be on a Saturday morning, and I know what it took for many of you to get here. So I really, really appreciate that. Let me see if I'm going to set this down and move this chair over so I'm not keep going to my props. You saw that coming. I saw that coming. All right, I'm a mom of 6. I can do it all at one time. All right, so just a huge thank you. Thank you for the Illuminate Family Ministry team for putting this on, right? Let's give them a round of applause for doing this for us. This is my new church home, so that's very, very exciting. Our family's been here for a few months, and I am excited to be here, and I love the fact that they purchased a book for each of you. That's so huge, and I want you to know that I wrote that book small because who has time to read, right? Who has time to read books? And my goal of that was that we could get on an airplane with that book as a busy mom or dad and read it, the entire book, by the end of the flight. It's meant to mark up, it's meant to write on, it's meant to take notes, and it's meant to help you through your entire journey of parenting. I also love that we have people in the room that have babies up to grandparents, right? So we're going to be, there's a lot of ages to cover here, and we're all at different stages and seasons. And so my hope is that you will take out of this what works for you. I hope that something you hear today, and I know it will resonate with you, or that the Lord will convict you with something, because nothing I say here today is meant to make you feel guilty or shame or regret, right? We're going to feel excited about what we hear, what we learn, and how the Lord might individually convict us today of how we might want to do something differently in our family and lives. So I'm going to get started here, and we are going to talk about let's see if this works. Oh, it does. Okay, wonderful. So we're going to talk about 5 ways that we can parent on purpose in 2024, this year, right now, and beyond into the future. But what does it even mean to parent on purpose? What does it mean? It's simple. It simply means that we are to proactively raise our children instead of reactively surviving our way through this precious season of raising our kids, this precious season of full-time parenthood. And I know most days don't feel precious, right? It is a difficult, it can be a difficult, hard call, but my goal is to help you become more proactive instead of reactive. Proverbs 22:6 tells us, train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it, right? We've got to remember that main verse in our parenting. It matters what we are doing today for the future. So I used to be a sports journalist. Yes, I've never been a big lover of sports, but somehow it's been a part of my life in all stages of it. I started writing family and parenting about 10 years ago, and I'll show you why. Whoop. Sorry, it's going ahead, way ahead. Okay, how do I get it back is the question. Okay, ready? There we go. Okay, motherhood started off very, very hectic for me. My firstborn came out 3 times. So I gave birth to triplet sons just before the tragedies of September 11th, 2001. And so not only was it hectic enough giving birth to 3 babies, but my husband also got traded from the Phoenix Coyotes here to the Anaheim Mighty Ducks when they were 5 days old. So I don't think, he wasn't even there for that photo, okay? I think, thank God for moms, because my mom came in and took over, and I think that was the Lord's plan, because we were running a baby business around my house. But motherhood started off very hectic. And only 18 months later did I give birth to our baby girl. So it was 4 kids I had in 18 months, and you can see why I was reacting my way through motherhood. That's my formal living room, right? And many of you probably can relate, in a new home in Tustin, California, where I really knew no one. So That's the epitome of what motherhood was for me for a long time. And then it got even crazier for our family when the Lord called us to adoption, and we adopted a 9-year-old son into our family in 2016. So he is now 17. And again, the Lord called us to adoption in 2021, and you can see our youngest son on the right. And he also is 9 years old and is 12 years old today. So this is my family, and we're all wearing Maine, which, because my husband actually got his bachelor's degree during COVID, because he had left early for the NHL, and my son on the right is actually playing hockey at University of Maine right now, so that's very, very fun for us. But so now that the older four are launched off, they're all in 4 different colleges in 4 different states. Somehow I'm not sure what happened there, but they are thriving and living their lives. I'm super passionate about helping parents who come behind me so I can give you tools and tips that I learned that helped me so that I didn't continue to react my way through raising them. But first, I think before we talk about how to parent on purpose, we need to talk about what keeps us from parenting on purpose. Okay, I took this picture in my local Mega Fry's grocery store because this is the cereal aisle, right? And it's out of control. All of the choices we have to make, just as an American, right, citizen in our neighborhoods, all the choices that are coming our way and are bombarding us. And many times we just reach for something, grab it, and keep going because we just are overwhelmed. How about the pain aisle, right? I go to get something for a simple headache, and I leave with a migraine because there are so many choices for such a simple ailment. But this is the culture we live in. We are living in an overwhelming culture, so we live overwhelmed. How about this? Much of our time is spent racing around. Many of us are wearing many different hats, right? So we're always on the run, racing from thing to thing, place to place. So many days can be spent like this. So it's hard to parent on purpose when our lives feel like this, right? We're so busy. Our calendars are back full again, right? COVID's wiped everything away, and now we're kind of back in action. Our calendars are full of all these wonderful things we get to do in our lives, places we need to be, but it's hard to parent on purpose when we are so busy. Many times raising our kids today, we are so focused on the wrong goals. And I think this could be one of the biggest issues of our culture today, is that so many times we are focused on our children's performance and achievement, and we forget what our goal really is in this. And culture would have us believe this is our goal. Now, you'll read in my book that I think we signed our daughter up for soccer when she was 6, because it's good for kids to be active, right? Sports are great. But I didn't realize that a few years later, I was going to be sitting in hotel rooms in California on Thanksgiving away from my family, right? So what starts out as a nice, cute, fun thing for our kids consumes our family. And we need to be very, very mindful of that and careful with that, because that's a big part of my story. So we love sitting on the sidelines of our kids' lives, cheering them on, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. We just need to make sure that this is not our goal. Or this, that our kids are achieving, performing, getting good grades, doing all the things. My son there on the left, he's a very high achiever. Maybe some of you have one of those that just naturally loves achieving. And it actually makes me feel great as a mom too, because I feel good, right? Or when he's getting good grades and earning the awards, and maybe you do too. So we need to be careful that we are not focused on the wrong goals. It's hard to parent on purpose in today's culture when we are in a world that believes performance and achievement is the goal. Many times, too, as parents, we are doing too much. We're just doing too much for our children because we love them, right? We love our role as mom and dad, as grandparent. But I got the helicopter mom there because there's a difference in doing things for our children and swooping in and taking away all of our ailments and things for our children. So a lot of that is what my book is about, is we are doing too much as parents, and it can be very stressful on us and not good for the kids either. So it's hard to parent on purpose when we're doing too much. we're also very distracted, right? I mean, we can just blame that little phone there. Screens are distracting us, and we all know that, so we need to be very mindful. Screens are not going away, and we're going to talk about that all next session. But we've got to recognize if we are being distracted by screens, us and our children, it can be very detrimental for us. So it's no wonder that we struggle to parent on purpose today when we're overwhelmed, we're busy, we're focusing on wrong goals, we're doing too much, and we are distracted. So we've got to acknowledge, right, all the things we have going against us. It's the tagline of my book. It's a courageous approach to raising children in a complicated world. This isn't easy today. This isn't what our parents and grandparents dealt with. We are dealing with a different culture, so recognize that so that you can figure out how to do it differently. We've got to acknowledge all that we've got going on and how we as Christian moms and dads can better parent on purpose this year and beyond. So Psalm 127:3 tells us that children are a gift of the Lord. Okay, they are an absolute gift of the Lord. So let's recognize that, remember that, and focus on that today. They are a gift given to us by the Lord. How are we going to steward this time we have to raise them? Okay, we're going to get into the meat of it now. So 5 ways to parent on purpose this year and beyond. Number 1, we need to visualize the end. Okay, that's what I wasn't doing when I was in those years, and many of you probably too. When our kids are young, it's really hard to think beyond the day. We're just trying to get through today, tomorrow, and we never take the time to think about the end. So I want to challenge you to visualize the end, because the finish line of full-time parenthood is just ahead. Whether you have toddlers, whether you have teens, it is ahead. And so if you have got, toddlers, little ones, you're going to need to squint a little harder to see that finish line. If you've got juniors and seniors in high school, I guarantee you it's taking your breath away a little bit, right? You see that end and you know it's coming. And so it's very different with how you feel. But I'm going to show you my visual. And this is hard to do with holding a mic, but I'm going to do it. Okay, this is my visual for full-time parenthood. I'm a visual person, maybe many of you are too, and I need visuals to sometimes help me remember not to react my way through each day raising the kids. So this is the game Jenga. I'm sure all of you know it. And I don't know if you know if Jenga is made up of 18 layers. Okay, so this is a great visual for the season of full-time parenthood. And all of us in this room who are raising kids are somewhere on this tier. If you've got, toddlers, you're at the bottom. If you've got high schoolers, you're toward the top. The one thing that you need to notice is that there's an end. This tower is not ever growing, ever ending. It ends, and we need to recognize that. So when I say visualize the end, that means full-time parenthood is supposed to come to an end. Okay, parenting never. We're always mom, always dad. But the season we have to raise our children in our homes full-time is 18 years-ish. So look at that as the goal. Every time you say a Jenga game now, you can remember, you can ask yourself, how well are you visualizing the end? Raising kids is for a season. The days may feel long, but the years are short. Ask anybody who has launched children, and they will tell you the same thing. Okay, this is one visual I like to use because would you ever jump in a boat and just let the current take you where it might? No, we wouldn't do that. Although when I look at that scene, I think maybe I would there. But no, we wouldn't. We would pick up our oars and we would paddle ourselves toward where we want to go. And I'm afraid that we're not doing that in our parenting today, right? I feel like we're just jumping in, having kids, and reacting to what culture is throwing our way. And that's not what we need to be doing. We need to determine our destination and then begin paddling ourselves toward that destination, right? Asking the Lord to help lead us toward where it is that we're trying to go. And I believe we are all shooting for the same goal. One of our goals and our main goal is that we need to aim for adulthood. And too often we're forgetting that the role of parents is to raise adults who are, we can put into the world that are capable and confident and compassionate and all these things. So our goal for all of us, no matter how old our kids are, is to aim for adulthood. And remember, when we're making decisions and things, that is our goal. 3 John 1:4 tells us, I have no greater joy than this, to hear of my children walking in the truth. And my children applies to all of us. But I think of that in my parenting. That is my end goal, and I bet it is for you too, is that we can launch adults who love the Lord, who love others, right? Who love their siblings and love their family. And so our goal is to aim for adulthood. And next we're going to talk about what that looks like to build the character into that adult. Okay, so you're going to visualize the end. You're going to take the time, no matter what season you're in, you're going to think about what you want that end to look like. What kind of adults do you want to launch into the world? What kind of family do you want to create that those adults want to come home? What memories do you want to have given them and instilled in them? What does the end look like for you? Second, you need to claim your core values. Now, I do a lot of secular talks to a lot of different groups, so I'm thankful that we in this room, we don't have to question what core values we should be instilling in our kids. Okay, I went too far ahead again. Can you take me back to number 2? Because the Bible is clear on what values we should be living and teaching. Galatians 5:22-23 tells us the 9 fruits of the Spirit are essential core values for life: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Another, Colossians 3:12, tells us, and so as those who have been chosen of God, holy and beloved, put on a heart of compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. So we don't have to wonder what values we should be instilling in our children, right? Our Bible is clear on that. And so that's easier for us. Now, living that out is another story. But purposely transferring biblical values to our children is the most important thing that I think we can be doing as a parent today. Because if we don't pass on our faith or these biblical values to our kids, believe me, someone will. Someone in culture will put their values on your children. So it's up to us to purposely transfer the biblical values that we believe are most important when raising kids. But if we're honest, and I want us to get honest, you're here today, I think, to get honest and to make change if you need to, that often today we can be mistakenly more concerned with building up our kids' strong resume, than we can about building up their strong value system. And it's just a fact, because we're living so overwhelmed and busy that we forget to focus on what's really important. And there's my triplets. They were 2020 high school graduates. Anybody else have 2020 high school graduates? A couple of you did, yeah. So you know what happened to our 2020 grads, and especially mine are in public school. So they did not have a graduation. They did not have their senior year sports. They did not have all the things. My son, the third one over there on the end, he is my achiever. He had worked so hard. He was at the top of his class. He had earned all of the things, right? All of the things that you usually get to wear at graduation. Yet he wasn't able. The stuff didn't even come out of the package, right? So it was such great time for us to talk as a family and say, see, like, what we do can be stripped away from us at any time. We all saw that, right? What we do can be stripped away at any time. And so, but who we are can never be stripped away, right? And we've got to remember to put our focus on who our kids are, who they're becoming, instead of what they're doing. Now, it's wonderful. He's still doing this in college, because we laugh about it, right? He's going to graduate in May at the top of his, with all his honor stuff, and we're so excited because we're laughing like, well, hopefully it can all come out of the package this time, and you actually get to wear it. But it's just 2020 needs to be a reminder to us that our children's things can be stripped away at any time, right? Injuries can end sports in a minute. So many things can be taken from our kids, so we cannot find our value in what we do, but instead in Christ and who we are in him. That's where we find true value. But are we willing to lead our children in that way and to have those conversations? And I think 2020 really is a great reminder for us of that. Okay, third, you want to determine your parenting and family goals. What is it that you want for your children for this season of full-time parenthood? Do you know? I love the verse, Proverbs 16:9, because it says, the mind of man plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. And I wholeheartedly try and live that out because, yes, we want the Lord to lead us. We are to let the Lord lead us, but we have to have some kind of plan of what we're trying to do, where we're trying to go, and then let the Lord lead us in that. I feel like in our businesses, all too often, our companies, we have strategic plans and we've got mission statements and we really put a lot into that. But why don't we do that for our own family? Why don't we do that for our parenting? I had found that we had nothing like that. And so I created a framework called a parenting purpose statement, and you will see that in the book. And you'll also see what our parenting purpose statement is in the book. But it's like if we don't slow down and take the time to actually write out our goals, just like we do in every other area of our life, that I find it's hard to actually live that out. The last chapter of my book is titled Redefine Success. So my husband and I had said that we wanted to raise our children to be loving, faith-filled humans embodying the fruits of the Spirit. And we wanted to raise our children in an outward-focused home that served Jesus and others on a regular basis. Yet how do we honestly actually do that if we're so caught up in this? How many of you have kids in organized activities? A lot, because this is the culture today. And like I said, there's so many good things about it, but we can get so caught up in this that we forget to provide our children the opportunities for them to develop the character that we actually want them to have. So that's why I say we need to slow down and redefine success. What does success actually look like to you and your family? When that adult child comes back home, is it what they do or who they are that's going to matter the most? So when I stop and define success for my children and my family, it doesn't look like making the team, winning the competitions in whatever activity they're doing, or obtaining top grades on their report cards, although that is all certainly nice and certainly worthy of our attention. To me, success looks like this. This is my same rough and tumble hockey-playing son who is playing college hockey today, despite all that we did not allow him to do. That is him on the left. That was when we took a mission trip to the Yucatan as a family, and I walked around the corner and saw him on his knees washing the feet of the elderly in that community, and I said, that is success to me, and it brings me to tears every time. That is success to me. And the picture on the right is my same son, and that is our son we adopted. And that's success to me, just watching him love on that little boy who had never felt loved in his life, who had never felt a relationship like this in his life. And so I encourage you to really sit back and what is success to you? And how can you help live that out despite your circumstances, right? We all have circumstances, and sometimes we can use those as excuses, I think. I can, to stop us from doing certain things. But what does success look like to you? And to me, this is success. Even though the hockey picture, right, that's also a form of success. But I don't think that is our type, the success that we are striving for. The highest joy that we as Christian parents can have is to know that our children are adhering to biblical truths and living in accordance with the gospel of Christ. But are we giving our kids the space and the opportunities to do that amidst our busy lives? It's difficult. It's very difficult to do. But I know we can do it. And We can't do it, though, if you don't take the time to actually claim your goals and what you're even striving to do. It can get so easy to just keep following culture and not even realize it, right? Not even realize it. So let's be careful not to fall into culture's trap of success. So let's slow down, redefine success in our families, and then figure out how do we live that out. Ask the Lord to lead, right? And I'm going to show you one thing at the end. So I created a roadmap, a workbook, that at the end I'm gonna, and back at my table, you'll be able to scan. And I actually sell this on my website, but I'm giving it away for you guys today because I really know how much this helped me and our family. And so I'm hopeful that it will be something you can work through. It's very simple, just questions for you to think through on raising your children. And then once we have our goals, we can make more deliberate decisions. Okay, we have got to slow down and make deliberate decisions when raising our kids. So this was one night. I think our triplets, our boys were in 6th grade. Our daughter was in 5th. My husband at the time was coaching with the Chicago Blackhawks, so he was once again gone. And I was racing around that black Suburban like no other, right? I was dropping kids at honestly, I was dropping kids at every activity, and they were on time, and I was like super proud of myself, right? Because that's what I did. I ran everybody around, I got them fed, I had it all done, and I flew in to my last son's honor band concert, and I found a seat, I sat down, and all of a sudden the lights went down, and I just started sobbing. I was like, what are we doing? What kind of life is this? This is not what I had pictured being a mother to be. And thankfully, when my husband came home from that road trip, we had a serious heart-to-heart, and he agreed. And he ended up quitting his job. We pulled the kids out of school, off all their sports teams, and we bought an RV, and we pulled out of our home and drove around for 7 months, not having a clue what we were even doing. But I knew I was going to have so much regret, so much guilt when I launched them, because I was going to launch those 4 all in 1 year, which is where the stage we're at right now. If we didn't make purposeful change, I knew that I was going to, and I don't want you to feel that. There is sadness, obviously, when we launch our kids into adulthood, but I didn't want to have regret and guilt because we get one chance. We do. And you do not have to take off in an RV. I don't even know if I recommend that. But you may need to pivot and make some purposeful change. And I want to tell you, when you do that, when you make big decisions, even small ones, there will be consequences. There will come consequences to the decisions we make that are difficult. When we came back from this trip, right, my daughter, who was a top soccer player, got moved to the 3rd team because we weren't committed, right? I know you've heard this. You know this narrative. If you aren't all in and you're not spending your entire everything for some of these sports, then they consider you uncommitted. And it was a hard time in our family because we had to allow that. We let her drop to the bottom. That's where it was. And guess what? We were all happier for it. Even though she had the skills to be on that top team, we made the decision that this is what's better for our family, and it freed kind of all of us. Same thing, is there a hockey player, a family in here that played for my husband this year? He told me that there's one of he's coaches here locally, and he told me one of his families had said they were coming, but smart move, they didn't come, I guess. But our hockey is a whole nother world too, where you're expected to send your child off at 16. Teams are recruiting you, and so we were at that point where our one son was being recruited to leave at 16, and I'm like, I think my husband was a little more on board with that, but no, we're not sending our son, our precious son, off at 16, away from his siblings, and is that our goal? We had to keep reminding, what is our goal? What is our goal? What is our goal? While everyone else around you will be doing something different, and you'll question yourself. You will continually question yourself. But we can trust in the Lord. We can trust and have faith that it's all going to work out how it's supposed to. And it all worked out. He is in college. He's still doing his thing. And we were able to make strong, deliberate decisions that other people maybe wouldn't have made. But that was the right decision for us. So I really really want you to think about the deliberate decisions you're making in your home, in your family today. As small as, are you eating meals together around the table? Like, they don't have to be big. I'm just showing you big things, because actually this is how I started writing family and parenting, and my book came to be, was along this trip. I wrote for Campgrounds of America. Does anybody know KOA, if you're camping families? They were awesome, and so I got to write for them along the trip. But I'm showing you these as examples, and they do not have to be big, huge things that the Lord is calling you to in your life. A few more examples. So my 4 on the left, the Lord called us to Kanakuk. I don't know if any of you know that. It's a summer camp near Branson, Missouri. And we got back from the RV trip. We were being led to send them there, and I was like, what in the world? I thought parents who don't like their children send their kids to camp to get a break. And it was a really, really hard decision we made. And I would say probably the best investment that we made was to let them go into the woods with kids they don't know, of all like-minded, strong Christian families. And they did not want to do this. And we came home, we left them there, came home, and I literally was like in bed, depressed. And my husband was like, get up, this was your idea, this is your idea. And their faith is so strong today because of the friendships they made and the things we did. But it wasn't an easy decision to make. It wasn't easy to put money toward that either. But we had faith, and we did it. And so that was one of the decisions we made, was sending them off to summer camp for a few weeks each summer. On the top, once again, the Lord called our family to be advocates for foster care and adoption. And in the bottom right, we've taken several mission trips with our kids to the Yucatan on medical missions. So I'm still making purposeful decisions today, deliberate decisions with my college kids. It never ends, right? And I grabbed this as an example because this came to our home this week, and I hope this resonates with you in some way. Our daughter is at Liberty in Virginia, and I get a postcard saying, it's time for parent weekend. And so you get the communication, the postcard or the email, and you look at it and you're like, oh, I got to do this, right? Because they're telling me I need to do this. It's going to be fun. I need to be there. And what kind of parent doesn't go do this? And so you really have to slow down. And I'm so thankful. Like I said, we know our goals. We readdress them often. And it's like, okay, this is not meeting my goal with my daughter or with my sons. But what does meet my goal? If you ask my college kids, when does mom come visit? Well, mom will catch a game on Saturday, but she'll be there for church with them on Sunday, right? Because I'll be there to worship with them and their friends on Sundays, because that's my heart. That's my goal, is to strengthen our faith together and our family that way. My daughter at Liberty, they have convocation school-wide on Wednesday mornings, like GCU does, and then at night as well. So my daughter would tell you, yep, mom always has to have a Wednesday when she comes to visit. So my kids are still seeing me make deliberate decisions, but sometimes we can get so caught up in what culture tells us or someone else is doing that we can think that's our goal too. So I want to challenge you with that. If the parent weekend is for you, awesome. Then you be there, you do that. But if it's not, be okay. Saying that's not going to, work for us, or that doesn't fit our needs. So I want to challenge you to make deliberate decisions. Galatians 5:25 tells us, if we live by the Spirit, let us also walk by the Spirit. Your parenting, my parenting, our families should look different than the world's. Do they? Do they? It's a question for us. Then lastly, we need to take time to measure our success. Remember, we've redefined success. So it's vital that we take time to look at our present reality. And every chapter, at the end of each chapter in my book, you'll see I have a section that says pause, pivot, and plan. And I think it's really important we take the time to do that, pause, and consider how things are going in our family. One way I like to do this is to have family meetings. Many of you probably are doing these. They don't have to be scheduled necessarily. A lot of families will do weekly family meetings, monthly. We did monthly, or throw it together whenever you feel you need it. But it's a perfect time to come together as a family and talk about your goals, your mission, how you're living it out. For us, we've carried over Canna Cook's I Am Third mission, right? God first, others second, and we're last. And then we can sit around at our family meetings and say, how well are we living that out right now? Most of the time, not so great, right? Because we're busy. We're distracted and overwhelmed. But it brings it up in front of us like, yes, this is what we say to be true. This is what we said we want our family to be known for. So how are we going to better live it out this week or this month? So one thing that I want to reiterate is that it's never too late either. It's never too late to pivot and go a new direction, right? For something you hear today, you can call a family meeting tonight and say, okay, we're going to make a little shift here. I've made a mistake, or I heard something I want to try, and then we just pivot and we do our best and see how it works out. Family meetings are one of the best things you can do for your family, to gather and talk about school days, school mornings, Sundays, whatever is not working great in your family right now. Sit down and figure out how you can change that and make it go better. So like I said in the beginning, the finish line of full-time parenthood is just ahead. Those of you down here, with the toddlers, the babies, it's further away from you. So maybe, you don't have to worry too much about the end, but I want you to start envisioning it, because it matters even today, how you're building that foundation. And those of you with kids in high school, it's right there, and I know you see it. I know you see it because I've been there, and I'm there right now with a 17-year-old. So remember to slow down. You want to visualize the end. You want to claim your core values, determine your family and parenting goals, make deliberate decisions to live it out, and then measure your success as a family often. So this is the workbook I was telling you. If you want to get that and you're interested in that, even if you don't feel that you have no space for that right now, go ahead and grab it. You can also put the link at the bottom if you just put in bit.ly/pop parent on purpose, pop roadmap. Put that right into your browser. That will come up. And then you will be signing up for my email list. But don't worry, I don't have a lot of time to be writing emails, so you won't get too much. But hopefully you will join my community that way. Also, if you're on social, you can find me there on Instagram and Facebook. And I hope we have some questions so we can dive into some things that you all are dealing with or things you want to know more about.
Great, yeah, you can give it up for Amy real quick for that session. Okay, we'll move this over here.
Can we pull this one?
Yeah, I can grab it. Just move this. All right, so we didn't get a ton of questions, so we just have a couple. So make sure if you guys have any questions, you keep putting those in. We'll do a shorter Q&A right now, and then we'll do a longer one at the end as well. Yes. Can we throw the QR code up? And then it's also on your tables. You want to sit for this one? Here, we
Sure.
can do this.
Whatever you want.
All right. I appreciate this first one. So how do I require obedience to prepare them for obedience to the Lord while being abundant with grace? And I love the qualifier here. When do I let trivial things go versus doubling down in an effort to teach obedience?
Oh, that's the hardest thing, right? Because we all have free will. We all have free will. And depending on the age of your kids, that can be super difficult. I wish I knew the age of the kids for this. 4 and 2. Oh, 4 and 2. 4 and 2. But do you know Love and Logic? I used to be a Love and Logic instructor, and that helped me a lot with that. But I would say the more you can handle when they're young like that, the less issues you're going to have later. 100%. So on that tower, when you are in that season of building a foundation, it's extremely important that your kids understand the standards, they understand the rules, they understand the family boundaries, and you are consistent. Consistency is the key. And I will tell you that your family will be more at peace as they grow, as they're tweens and teens, because you created those boundaries, and they know that you're not messing around. This is what we said. This is what we mean. And as they get older, you will be able to discern better what things to let go of and what things not to. The one thing we don't want to get into is that everything is a battle, right? That's where we get exhausted and we have no cares to parent on purpose, right? Because we're just surviving the day. So that's, again, why you would want to do your goals and figure out what are you trying to strive for right now toward the future. Like, if it's disrespect, right? If they're disrespecting you or whatever it is that you're dealing with, do you want them going to school acting like that or treating people like that? Absolutely not. So you're going to really focus and hone in on that value and, knocking that out now because, well, I'm going to talk about it in the next session. One of the biggest things I like to teach and talk about is parenting 6 years ahead. And we will talk about this in the next session, how important that is. So if you look at your 4-year-old, and at 6 years, it'll be 10. How do you want that 10-year-old to be? What kind of heart, what kind of character do you want that 10-year-old to have? And what's really important to you? And then at 4, that's what you're going to work on instilling. And let some of the other stuff go. But sometimes we want to be nice. And I'm going to talk about in the next session. We like it when our kids like us. We like when they're happy. And I'm sorry, that's just not feasible when you're parenting on purpose, right? Our kids are not going to be happy with some of the boundaries and the things we place on them. That's okay. We're the parent, and they're the child.
Yeah, great answer. My son's 15-month-old, and so it's a battle with the Cheerios right now. Yep, lots of Cheerios. Great. I think I can combine a few of the questions here, and it kind of leads into that one. So one, we've definitely struck a nerve with sports, which I know that from just being in youth ministry for a while. And so maybe we can even tie this into sports. But what do you do when your goals don't align with your kids' goals?
Yeah, that's rare, right? Or even with our spouse. Sometimes we can have different goals. I find that a lot. And that's because we grew up differently in different homes, and that's okay. We both bring things to the table. Our goals are going to be different than our kids' goals. At 100% they are. I mean, as far as, because if we're focused on our goal being the Lord and, raising up adults who love the Lord and the family, they aren't really capable of seeing that goal. They're concerned with themselves and what they want. So I think the biggest thing is to try and balance that, right? How do we honor them and what they love to do, what their passions are, while also honoring our family and what we know the goals are? And I think the communication is the huge part. Is communicating. This is why we're doing it, and we know you love this. But if we're going to do this as a family, we're just going to be able to do the rec league. We're not going to be able to do we're not going to do the competitive league, right? We're not going to travel around. You've got to be confident in what you're allowing your kids to do, or where you're pulling back based on your goals. And it will cause some tension because our kids don't know any better. Of course, they want to do what they want to do, right? That's natural, but I think there can be some give and take in that, and it's just, in my book I wrote it, it's called Youth Sports Cost Us. They cost us in many ways, but they are wonderful. So I don't like when people, like I said, our family's still doing it. I have 2 college athletes right now, 1 baseball player at Colorado Christian, and our hockey players. So I think there's a way we can honor what they do, but don't let it overtake our family story. I've seen it too many times. I've seen parents launch their kids off and they have so much guilt and regret because they missed it. So how can we honor what they want to do while still honoring our family and what our goals are?
Something that I think is unique with your family is the level at which your husband played, professional sports, and then having 2 college athletes right now. What were those conversations like with your kids, even with your daughter when she had to move to the lower team, to navigate that I might be giving up college or I might be giving up the best team and how this affects my future? Maybe just share kind of what those conversations were like. And obviously it wasn't the end of the story because they got there regardless.
Yeah, my daughter didn't, but she really didn't. That was fine with her. That wasn't the goal. We weren't striving for that. I want to talk about my hockey playing son because I think that stands out the most to me because it was just always, this is what you're going to do, right? At 16, you get drafted and you go off, and my husband was kind of like, well, what do you mean we're not sending him? And so we had a lot of struggle between talking about that, but I was like, it's not, the Bible is not convenient, right? It's just not, and sometimes, our goals aren't convenient. And so many times we can say certain things, but then we struggle to live them out. And so when I say parent 6 years ahead, get ahead of whatever's coming for you. We didn't make that decision on a spur of a moment. We knew that at 16, hockey players, if they're at that level, will be drafted to go off. So we started talking to him about that earlier, right? Hey, I'm not sure that that's going to work for our family. I'm not sure that we're going to be doing that, son. I think it's more important you're home and you graduate high school with your brothers and all these things. So get ahead of it. If you know something might be coming for you, that's the part about not reacting our way through it, because it's going to be really hard to make that decision if we haven't really thought about it or made a plan or had those conversations. So he was a little bummed, but not, because he loves being a part of our family, and he loves our family. So it was like, I think for him, he also felt like he could breathe. Like, there wasn't all this pressure on him, but I worried about it when we got to that point. Is this decision we just made going to hurt him? Is he not going to get the college scholarship? Is he not going to get to play the sport he loves? I don't know, but I trust the Lord. I trust if that is in his future, then it will happen. And if not, we have to be okay with that. And he was okay with it. I wouldn't say he's thrilled, right? But that's okay. He was okay with it. And my whole point is talk early. Think ahead. Know what could be on the horizon and be talking about it with your kids now, because that's where we get into conflict and struggle, is all of a sudden they want to go on the party bus in 8th grade with their friends, and we never talked about that. We've never talked about boundaries and rules, and now we're in conflict, right? Where if you can get ahead of that 6 years, start thinking about it, start having little conversations now, then it will go much, much smoother for you. But our kids must know that we have their best interests at heart, right? We are called by the Lord. They are a gift for us to raise, and they will get to make some choices. We will work with them in that, but they won't run our family story because they just aren't capable of doing that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to do one more question. We'll break, and then we have a ton of questions coming in. Broke the iPad, so I'm going to consolidate a bunch of questions, try to make sure we get some good answers. But here's the one I want to ask you, especially with what you just said. I think it was Pastor Todd that mentioned in the intro, you've been a Christian for 8 years now. So not short time, but relatively short time, which means at some point your kids are being raised maybe with less faith or no faith in the home, and then I'm sure a dramatic change once that transformation happened in your life.
I would say I've been a Christian for a lot longer than that. I mean, I was going to church. When my testimony is on my website so everybody can see my full story, but when I say I gave my life to Christ 8 years ago, and that's very different for me than being a Christian and going to church and trying to live the Christian life. I gave my life to Christ, meaning my life is His. So if He's calling us to adoption, I don't really want to do that. I'm doing it. You know what I mean? We're going to figure this out. I know now I am very in tune with when the Lord is calling me to something, when He's calling us to something, and then I still can be hard to obey, but that's the difference. When I say I gave my life to Christ, it's like now I understand the difference in living for Christ than just learning about Christ or, showing up and serving or following in them. And so my faith journey was long, but I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. But that's why we did send him to camp, because we were newer in our faith. And I needed Christian community. Like I said, they're in public school. And so we needed to come alongside, and I'm glad that the Lord led us there, because that was exactly what we needed. And so I think it's to each person to figure out ask the Lord, what do they need to come alongside? Because we can't just raise our kids alone, right? I think it's really important that we have Christian community, Christian families alongside us. And what does that mean, and what does that look like?
Great, thank you. Give her a hand one more time. Keep sending questions in. I'm going to keep looking at them, try to get them combined so we can get to all your questions. A few things just so we can stay on pace and get you guys out of here. We do have one special giveaway we're giving. It's a little more unique and specific, so we want to do it separately. That is, we have a lady in our church. Her name is Donna Price, and she works specifically with kids and teenagers that have any type of learning challenges at all. And her list of what she can do is very wide. But she wanted to give away a free coaching session to a parent where she can work alongside you to help know how to best navigate that with your student. or your child. And so if that is you and you're interested in that, we have a giveaway going on in the back at that table. You can put your name in and it'll be raffled away at the end. But you guys have 10 minutes. Go ahead and grab some food out in the lobby, use the bathrooms, and we'll be back here at 11:20. All right, I know we're grabbing the last few snacks. If you're out in the lobby, you can go ahead and start making your way back in here. We're going to kick off this next session with a few giveaways, so you're definitely going to be in here when we do that.
So you'll pull from the small bucket. Yeah. And then here are the gift card movie tickets. So we'll do announcements first, then the giveaways. Get started.
All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. So if you're in the lobby grabbing some coffee, grabbing some pastries, you can go ahead and make your way on in. We want to do a little introduction. My name is Matt. I'm the youth director, and I have the one and only...
I'm Charlie Courtney, the children's director.
Yeah, and before we do some more giveaways, we just want to give you a couple of announcements on what we have going on when it comes to all things family ministry. So Charlie, go ahead and kick us off with the first thing.
Well, Move Up Sunday. So if you have kids kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, Move Up Sunday is going to be on May 26th. What that means for you is on that date, if you have a child that's entering into kindergarten, they're going to go ahead and transition into their new classrooms on that date.
Cool. And a big component of Move Up Sunday is for the current fourth graders that are moving up into fifth grade, or they're going to move into our Club 5-6 ministry. We have some awesome volunteers, Mickey and Ruthie Smith, who run that, and that runs during our 11 a.m., so our third service on Sunday morning. So we'll have a parent pancake breakfast for those parents to come hear about our Club 5-6 ministry and our junior high ministry as well. So if you have a student who is going into fifth grade or going into seventh grade, we want to tell you more about what we're all about. So stay tuned. We'll get some emails out, some information out to you as far as what that parent pancake breakfast will look like. You can ask questions to myself. We'll have Mickey and Ruthie Smith there as well. So that is Move Up Sunday. The next thing is
VBS.
VBS.
So VBS, and it's so timely, so much what Amy has been talking about, is all about helping to establish a rock-solid faith in a world of shifting sand. What does that mean? It means we're going to be challenging what culture says and comparing it with God's word. So like, truth can be different for different people. Well, what does God's word actually say about that? You do you. That's a big one. We'll be tackling that one. If you don't agree with me, means you don't love me. So these are things that culture is saying, well, what does God's word say about that? So make sure that you sign up your kiddos for June 11th through the 13th. We are also looking for volunteers. If you are volunteering, you can bring your little ones because we will be having childcare with a little VBS program for them. So VBS is for 4 years old all the way through 4th grade.
Man, I was hoping VBS was for me. I don't know. VBS sounds like a good time.
Oh,
all right.
you'll be there. You'll be there.
I'll be
Yeah,
there.
don't
I'll
worry.
be there. I'll be pumping kids up. That's what'll be happening. We also have camps. So we got 2 different camps going. We have, can we throw up the one slide? I can't remember what sequence we've got. Yeah, so we have our Club 5-6, our 5th, 6th grade ministry. Goes to summer camp every year. We actually partner with a production company that specializes in putting on preteen camps. So when it comes to worship, when it comes to messages, when it comes to activities, games, everything is structured in a way that is designed around what a 5th grader, what a 6th grader wants, what they need. And so that is happening June 30th through July 2nd. We'll be getting registration open that first Sunday in May, so stay tuned for that. And it's actually going to be changing locations. I believe we've been going to Camp Pine Rock the last several years. It'll be actually at Camp Shadow Pines, which is in Heber, Arizona. So we're really, really excited for that camp. And then we also have our Illuminate Youth Camp, which is 7th through 12th grade. We are partnering with Christ Church down in Gilbert, who puts on a camp every year at Point Loma University. So we're really pumped about this. That is going to be May 31st through June 4th. The theme is Waves of Wonder, really capturing this idea of helping students understand what does it look like to live in awe and wonder of who God is, and how that awe and how that wonder should direct the way we live our lives. So we're really pumped for those camps. And this camp will be, registration will be opening up this Sunday. We'll get an email out to all parents. So you're welcome to come talk to me, ask any questions, ask us any question about VBS camps. We'd love to chat more with you guys. Well, we do have some giveaways here. All right, we've got 2 giveaways. We've got another giveaway of little date nights, cold beers and cheeseburgers, 2 movie tickets. So we're going to do the same thing like we did last time off of birth date. I'm going to have Charlie take out, are we doing a month first? Month first. All right.
Okay. It is.
What's the month?
I'm looking.
Oh.
Okay, wait, that's date. Hold on.
Oh, that's the date?
Hold on.
Are they all dates?
That's the date.
Oh, they're right here. You got the wrong. There you go. November. Any November birthdays in the house? All right. Can I make you stand on up? Why don't we make you stand on up? Yeah. So we know. All right. November. Now we have the dates. November 25th. 25th. Who is the closest to the 25th? You're the 5th. 2nd. The 11th. The 10th. The 11th is the winner. Oh, we have, I missed one. November 18th is the winner. All right, give it up. Come on down, claim your prize. Go ahead and give this. Sorry that I missed you. All right, and then we do have the giveaway that we brought up, Hudson brought up with Donna's giveaway here. Some of you guys, this is the right basket, yes. I think we wrote names down. Doug and Paula Howe get the giveaway. Congratulations. Here you go. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. Go ahead and give it up for Amy.
Thank you. Okay, we are now going to tackle the beloved topic of technology and social media. So we're going to talk about how to set your family up for screen time success. Is there really such a thing? Can we really be successful when tackling this technology in our homes? I think we can. I think we can to a degree, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how can we try our best to be successful when it comes to screen time success. It is going to take discernment and much diligence on our part to lead our child and family through this digital landscape that we live in. A lot of things you will read that I write, I constantly say that I think technology is the biggest battlefield that we as parents are facing today. However, technology isn't necessarily the problem. It's our time and our habits on our digital devices that are the issues. So once again, let's talk about Why are we, as Christian parents, all too often succumbing to this, right? To the world around us, especially when it comes to technology? Well, let's touch on a few of the things that we're falling into. We're falling into social and cultural influences that are causing us to lower our expectations because we hear and think, well, everyone has a phone, right? Everyone has a phone. Everyone plays Fortnite. Everyone has Snapchat. Our kids will certainly tell us this. And we hate the thought of our child being left out, right? We don't like feeling like we're different or we're the only one that isn't allowing these things for our child. So we let our guard down and we allow our child to have and do things that we don't feel good about, if we're honest with ourselves, right? There are many things that we allow our child to do when it comes to technology that we don't feel good about. We also sometimes worry that our child won't be able to get a hold of us at all times, right? So we give them a phone because we want to always be able to get a hold of them. And so not sure if that's necessarily healthy either. And lastly, let's be honest, screens keep our kids happy and quiet. Well, sometimes quiet. And we like it when our kids are happy and quiet. So we need to get honest. As Christian parents, we have a responsibility to have God's truth govern our hearts, our homes, our habits, and our conduct privately and publicly. So technology is not going away, right? And we don't necessarily want it to go away. There's some amazing things with technology, right? Our businesses, I don't know about you, but my business flourishes because of technology. So there are a lot of good things with it. So it's not going away. So we've got to talk about how in the world do we strengthen ourselves first as parents to deal with this in our families. Then we can talk about how to strengthen our children in this area and strengthen our families in this digital age that we're living in. So Proverbs 27:12 tells us that the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. So it's up to us to know the dangers of technology and do our best to protect ourselves and our kids from it. Okay, how in the world do we focus first on strengthening ourselves? You've got to strengthen yourself as a parent first or a grandparent first. Unfortunately, we have to be the parent and lead in this area. We've got to be proactive. We cannot make our parenting decisions when it comes to technology based on feelings or our child's happiness, but instead on reality. And there are some harsh realities when it comes to screen use and technology. We aren't proactively and purposely leading our children when it comes to technology because, like we talked about in the first session, we're overwhelmed and we're busy and we're focused on wrong goals and distracted. So we're not really sometimes thinking too much about these screens that we're putting in front of our children or putting in their hands. So we must be the parent. We have got to lead the charge in our homes and our families, especially when it comes to technology and screens. According to Common Sense Media, today, 42% of kids have a phone by the age of 10. By age 12, it's 71%, and by 14, it's 91%. I am a big advocate of delaying smartphone ownership and social media use. I think this is going to be the key to the future. We have got to be brave enough, bold enough to delay this use until we feel good about it or best we can to allow our children to use it. Currently, people always ask me, our 12-year-old does not have a phone. He barely has an iPad. My iPad that he's allowed to briefly use, and it never leaves the home. But he is our 6th, and I've learned a lot through the years. Our 17-year-old does have a phone. We allow our kids to get phones at 16. Yes, we are those people that I think that have our kids wait until 16 when they have a job and they can actually help contribute to that phone. And so that's our family. Now I will tell you, somehow our daughter, right? I have 5 boys and 1 girl. Our daughter somehow managed to get a phone in middle school on us, and we somehow allow that, right? So nothing is going to go perfectly, okay? We're all trying to parent on purpose, not parent perfectly. And some of our kids will challenge us more and get away with more, and we'll have to hear how, the firstborn will be mad because they had all the rules, and the youngest gets away with everything. Just know it's important that we link arms together as we battle our children's growing dependency on these digital devices. And we've got to take the time to protect and teach our children. Romans 12:2 tells us that we are not to conform to the pattern of the world. We are to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. We've been hearing this in service, right? Romans 12:2. So together we can be courageous and we can establish a holy standard of living while raising kids in a digital age. So you're going to have to make hard decisions, unfortunately, that are going to make your child a little unhappy. Okay, it's just going to be necessary. And it's hard to read this, but I have to take you back to this moment. So we created, our mom created a cell phone contract way back when our kids were first getting their cell phones, when they were 14 at the time, I think, maybe, our triplets. And one of my sons is a little more challenging, if anybody has a more challenging child than the other, and he was just doing whatever he wanted on the phone, regardless of what he had checked, initialed, signed on that contract. So I think we were having him write down all the things that he was not doing responsibly on his phone. And then at the end, he writes, "Could you be like a normal parent?" It was like, that's the whole thing. I still hear it. Could you just be like everybody else? Could you just be a normal parent? And I smile and I say, no, that means I'm doing my job, right? We don't want to be the normal parent. We want to be that abnormal parent who is willing to put some tough boundaries on things that we know aren't good for kids. And that is, I think, a hard thing to do, because it's harder work to do that than to just hand over screens and put our blinders on and not worry about it. So our kids think that they want parents who will let them do whatever they want, but that's why we're the adult, and we know what's best, or we act like we do anyway. We do our best. We know what's best for them. And we got to recognize that digital devices are changing childhood. And as a mom of 6, I fully understand. I fully understand why people are giving their elementary school kids and middle school children a smartphone. But we've got to realize, and we've got to recognize how distracting and dangerous and addicting these devices are. And at times, we need to be brave enough and to say no, or not yet, right? No, or not yet. And one strategy that I talked about doing this is using the 6 years ahead, okay? When you have the 2 and 4-year-old, you're in a good spot, right? It's much easier for you to think about 10 years when half the kids are getting cell phones at that age. What does that look like for you? How do you feel about that? Is that what you think you would want to do in your family, or maybe it's something different? The problem becomes when we haven't thought about it, and all of a sudden we're in it, and we're just reacting our way through it, and it can be chaotic. So it is never too late. It is never too late to decide to make change. I will tell you that at one point, my son, it might have been the one that wrote that note, might not have been. We had to go and get him a Walmart flip phone, okay, in high school. Because if we're going to do this cell phone contract, or we're going to make rules and boundaries, then we have to live up to it. We just have to do our best to live that out. And so do you think he's happy about this? I don't think he never used it, but we gave him an option if he needed to get a hold of us. So that's available for all of you as parents at Walmart. But we've got to be willing to make hard choices, hard decisions for our kids to help them. I think he started online gambling in high school with his friends. This is a real thing, and it's a stronghold on his life now because of the devices. There's so many things that our kids can go down, addictions, because of these devices. We can help them create boundaries, right? That's our job, is to help create boundaries, but they have free will, right? We all have free will, but it's up to us to try our best to help them understand, what comes along with these screens. So it's never too late to change, to pivot, to make a different decision, and parent 6 years ahead. The other thing is we need to be very mindful of our own media use. We need to look and acknowledge our own habits and what our kids are seeing us do. Are we mindful of putting away our screens and being present with them at times? Or do our kids always see us constantly distracted, by our own phone? Sometimes this is way more interesting than what we've got going on. But it's important for our kids to see that we too have boundaries for ourselves. And I'm also big on recognizing that we are adults, so our boundaries are not the same as our children, right? We can do things and because I'll hear that a lot from my kids. Well, you can do it. It's like, yeah, because I'm 52 and I work, and I pay for the phone, So our boundaries are not the same. So remember that. But do your kids see that your phones aren't that important to you? Can you put away your technology and enjoy family time? Another big issue is we need to pause before we post. Many of us are on social media, and many others have chosen not to do it. But it's really important we think about what we're posting, because we are creating a digital footprint for our kids when we do that. And I have done that, having a blog and stuff myself. My daughter's so mad because there's a picture that she had okayed to go online when she was 10, not okay with it anymore, but guess what? It's there. It's there. And so I encourage you to be very mindful of before you post, what you're posting. The biggest subject I've written about on my blog is about technology and ways to help us. And one article I wrote about is about sharenting, about sharenting, parents that share on social media and ways to help you. So at the end, I've got a resource guide from you linking to most of my blogs on that. And you can read through more if you feel like you want to learn more about sharenting and how we might be able to curb that. So you want to pause before you post and think about what we're sharing with our children. Okay, so first we strengthen ourselves as the parent, then we can teach our children how to strengthen themselves. The goal for every one of us is to be able to live with technology responsibly, to enhance our lives, right? Technology is here to enhance us, not to take over our lives. And so we need to create healthy digital habits and routines in our homes. That's what we're going to talk about now. Creating healthy digital habits is one of the most important things you can do in your home today. Because a lot of times our homes end up looking like this, right? And it's okay once in a while, but if this becomes habitual, obviously this is not what we want. This is not healthy. And so we want to sit around our tables and be able to talk, to be able to communicate from a time our kids are little, so that then when they come home as adults, we still linger around our family table and just talk for a long time because they're used to doing that. So is that a habit you have in your home? Even if it's a breakfast bar, it doesn't have to be a fancy table in a fancy room. Whatever space you have, are you gathering with your people without screens and creating that space? Okay, many times I hear that, I have to give my kids phones or an iPad because they need an alarm to get themselves up, right? So I'm here to show you and remind you that there are alarm clocks. There are alarm clocks, and they are for your purchase at Amazon when you get home if you need it. But we've got to set up sacred screen-free spaces in our homes. We just have to. And so you need to think about right now, what sacred screen-free spaces have you set up? You need to protect your family time, and don't let your kids talk you into phones going into the bedrooms. This is the most dangerous thing we can do, is to allow technology to go with our children into the bedrooms. And you know what's on that device. We can't put blinders on and think that our children aren't going to happen upon something. Ask anyone in law enforcement, and they'll tell you that your child's much more likely to meet a predator online in their bedroom than they are at the mall or out in the community. We're so worried about letting our kids go out and even ride bikes around today, but yet we allow them to take phones or screens into their bedroom alone, and we don't know what's going on. So I encourage you to set up screen-free spaces in your home. Make it a rule where they're to be used in the living room or in the living areas, right, where people can walk by at any time and see what they are doing. Now, I think about that. My boys, they know where the spaces are in our home, that they can use their devices. And that doesn't mean that right now while I'm here, they're not taking it into their bedroom and doing what they do, right? Like, we can only do what we can do, and then our kids have free will. We have to remember that. We can't be so hard on ourselves. They will make mistakes. They will. We make mistakes, right? And so we can only set up what we can set up in our homes and have the expectations, but it cannot be a free-for-all if we want to have screen time success in our home. Another thing I encourage is to invest in tools to help you. Like I told you, I'm a visual person, and so this company, Cade and Birch, worked with me, and they gave me this home for our screens, and we do have them in the living room. So do you have a space where your devices are charging overnight, where they live, where the kids know this is where they live? If not, I encourage you to find something. Start that habit. And that is our family unplugged box. Okay, you've got to monitor their usage on all the digital devices. And I didn't used to believe this, because like I told you, I don't like the helicopter parenting and being on top of the kids all the time, until when I was doing different interviews and articles, every one of the law enforcement told me, no, you have to be involved and be looking at their devices. Now, we don't need to do this on the daily, but you do need to be able to know their passwords at all times. You need to be able to, get into their devices whenever you want. Our kids know that at any point, if I say, hand me the phone, they don't like it, right? They do not like it. But it is our duty as parents to ensure that if we are giving them that device, that they're using it responsibly. And if they're not, then it's conversation, right? It's conversation we have around it, or maybe they need to go to the flip phone if it's out of control. So you've got to be aware of the time they're spending on their devices. Do you have screen time? Screen time is so easy, right, to have on our devices, so you can see exactly how they're spending their time. And then you use that to have conversations at your family meeting. We would have competitions like, oh, wow. And funny, it was always our daughter who was out of control with her time, because girls spend a lot of time on social media. It just is, unfortunately, what it is. But you can just use that as a talking point. Oh, I thought we said in our family we were going to have screens for 2 hours a Saturday, but it's looking like you were 4 hours, so that it becomes a conversation and helping them realize that they need to curb their behavior. And if it becomes something just as a discussion in your home, then it's more peaceful than mom and dad always just hammering down the rules when they're on the screens more than they want. So we need to strengthen our child by having healthy habits in our home. And so consider that. What does that look like for you? Depending on the age of your child will depend on the boundaries, right? What a 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 10-year-old has is very different from a 17-year-old, as it should be, right? They should be handed more responsibility as they grow and get older. Third, you want to strengthen your family. So first, you're going to strengthen yourself as the parent. You're going to strengthen your children through creating healthy habits in your home. And then you're going to work on strengthening your family. Our goal, every one of us, is to create a healthy family culture and home using technology to enhance our lives. Your family members should understand this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is why we do it. They may not like it, but they should understand why you have set the boundaries you have. If kids come over, right, some families have a basket where the kids have to put their phones in it so that the kids can actually learn to communicate. Whatever it is for you, whatever system you set up for your home, it doesn't need to look like your neighbor, right, or your brother's home. It's you and your family, what you decide is best. And don't be afraid to create boundaries that are different or maybe weird, right? My kids could you just be normal? Don't be afraid to set the boundaries that you know are best for your family. Okay, we want to pursue peace, right, in our lives, in our homes. Psalm 34:14 says, "Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it." So ask yourself, is technology disrupting the peace in your home? If it is, then you might want to pivot and make some different choices in your home, because it can be very disruptive to our peace in our home. We also want to give our kids reasons to disconnect. So in our home, in our family, we have screen-free Sundays. That's just what we do. That's what we've always done. Doesn't mean everyone likes it, but it's a habit. That's just what we do. And it actually allows space for our 17-year-old and our 12-year-old to sit on the floor and play games. And this is what we've got to do. We've got to give our children reasons to disconnect. Because of course, they're going to go right to that screen or that device, even the TV, over old school play, which is so important. So when I saw my boys doing this, I was like, this is the perfect picture of childhood that we don't want to lose, right? There's a way we can be on screens, and then there's a way we can still give them a playful childhood. So purchase games and items that promote play and creativity and connection. Buy things for your kids. Think mindfully about what you're purchasing for them for gifts, things that will strengthen their relationship. And yes, video games can strengthen boys' relationships, brotherly relationships at times, but think about the things that you're purchasing for them that don't involve screens, that can get them building relationship over and time like this. And it's funny, I looked at this earlier. Do you see back there the old school alarm clock? You see that back there on this nightstand? So I'm not just making it up. I'm using the, so I was like, oh, there's good proof that we actually use the old school alarm clock there. But summer is coming, right? Summer's coming, so we're going to have, for those of us who have kids in school, they're going to be home more. There are going to be more opportunities for screens. So are you purposely, I want you to start thinking about purposely planning more screen-free time this summer. Right? Our kids need to be out in nature. So do we. We need to put these screens away and go enjoy. We live in a beautiful, unbelievable, beautiful state, and this is up in Strawberry. We like to head up there sometimes in the summer. And so how are you going to purposely create screen-free time for your family this summer? And I'm going to give you a tip. One thing I had mentioned earlier, we like to camp at KOA, Campgrounds of America, and sometimes I will read the reviews before we go, and I would read, terrible Wi-Fi, terrible Wi-Fi, terrible Wi-Fi. I'm like, perfect. That's what we're booking, is the thing that says, everyone's complaining about it. I'm like, that's perfect for us. And now it's getting harder. It seems like everywhere has good Wi-Fi because people only want good Wi-Fi, right? We get mad if we go somewhere and we can't connect. But sometimes, especially as our kids get older, if you seek that out, and then you get there, the kids have no idea my ploy, and then you get there and they can't connect, and they're mad. Well, I can't get on the internet here. And I'm like, oh, really? Didn't know that was going to happen, And but then guess what? Everyone's talking and playing games, and so just be mindful that you're creating that space. And summer, like I said, is a great time to do it. Also, consider traveling this summer, whether it's by road or plane, without devices. Now that's scary, right? That sounds very scary. Build up your child's screen-free resilience. It's necessary that they don't, you don't have to hand them a screen when they're in the car or on that plane. They can read or do other things. Or at least, if that sounds too scary, maybe you choose half the time. For 1 hour, you're going to have a screen in the car, or 1 hour on the plane, you're going to get a screen, and then find other things to do. Our kids need to learn to be comfortable with themselves and interacting with other people. It's huge. If you look, our young adults are struggling now to actually have face-to-face conversation with people. And so it's up to us to help build that in them. Then we need to try and make a proactive family media plan. Like I said, that spells out your boundaries. And I've created a guide to help you do that, which we will talk about at the end. And that way, everyone gets on the same page, and everyone understands this is our goal, this is what we're working toward, and why. And address it in your family meetings. In the back of my book, you'll see my cell phone, our family cell phone contract, and I have changed it a little in the new guide. But it might sound crazy, but your kid can never say, well, you didn't tell me that, I didn't know that, because you actually have walked through it together and talked about it. And I'm telling you, your home will be so much more peaceful if you are proactive in doing something like a media plan or a cell phone contract or something like that. You got to remember, and I think I said this earlier, that a standard that's set but not upheld is just a suggestion, right? So we've got to remember, we've got to uphold these rules because we know it's for the betterment of them. One topic that I want to share that we've been seeing a lot of people start dealing with, and I want to encourage you to do, is you need to have a family password or a verification word. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but there's these AI voice clone scams going on, and it is affecting families where, say, they would take my daughter's voice from social media, and AI turns it into, I get a phone call where it sounds like my daughter, and she's desperate, and she's panicking, and she needs money. And all of a sudden, we're panicking now because that's our daughter. We've got to recognize that this could be a voice scam. It's happening, and we're going to continue to see this happening. So if you have older kids, make a family password that only your family, and include the grandparents in it, because it's also happening with grandparents. And so our family, we have a family password. And that way we know to ask that, if that ever, God forbid that ever happens to us, to ask what the password is. And hopefully they don't know it, because then we know it's a scam. So I just wanted to throw that out there because it's becoming a scary thing for people. So we need to continually educate ourselves on this technology because it's not going away. And I'm thankful, because this is my family now. These are our family meetings. This is what it looks like, right? And I'm thankful for that technology that connects us. It's such a blessing to be able to talk and see my kids, and for us all to be together laughing and sharing things. So we've got to remember the technology is a blessing. It can be a blessing, and we want it to be a blessing, but we've got to put boundaries around it so it can remain that. So together, as courageous parents, we can establish a holy standard of living. We can be different than the world. We can put boundaries on things for our kids, knowing it's what's best for them while raising them in this digital age. And this is the tech resources guide that I have for you for free. Like I said, if you want to put in that link or scan that has the cell phone contract. It has questions for you all to sit down and walk through. And where is it? So I can tell you. And I think one of the biggest things in there to think about and recognize is our screen use moving us closer to God or away from Him and His will for our lives? And are our digital devices a form of entertainment, a tool for connection, or leading us into sin? And I think it's a great question to continuously ask ourselves and our older kids. And so I have things like that in this. I've linked to all my different blogs and other resources. Protect Young Eyes is a great resource where you can keep up to date on new apps and things that are actually affecting your children today. They'll show you like calculator apps where kids are hiding things behind it. There's so many things going on. Our kids are so much smarter than we are, and we just need to proactively educate ourselves, communicate, and I do think we can set our families up for success in this area the best we can. So that's it, and we have, I think, a few minutes for questions.
Yeah. Grab this for you. And we wanted to be done at noon, but we got started a few minutes late. So here's the deal. If you need to take off, totally understand, want to respect your guys' time. However, we're going to probably spend another 15 minutes or so, and you don't need to pick up your kids if they're in childcare until 12:30. So we'll make sure you guys are all out to be able to pick them up. And so if nothing else, you get 30 more minutes to your own thoughts as well. Again, I got a 15-month-old at home, so I understand. First question, this is a great question. Speaking of having a 15-month-old at home, it's a boy, which we know it's the same with guys and girls pretty much at this stage, but I've already had to start thinking, how do I porn-proof his life, knowing that it's not even just his own technology he might see it on, but just any advice for that?
That's a huge issue, right, with these screens, and that's why I say delaying it as much as possible, because they will end up seeing it at some point, right? And it's having those conversations early too about, that's one of the reasons why we're called to protect you from sin and from you falling into these traps. But there are also things, different companies, you can put things on your devices that supposedly can keep all of that out, and I absolutely would do that for the younger children. all the way through, actually. You can put things on your router that keep certain websites from coming through. But that's what's good about like Protect Young Eyes. They're very big on that. We'll give you resources. They are a Christian company, and that's where you'll find a lot of ways to protect against the pornography, because it is a real issue, and we can't ignore that. We can't put blinders on, because that's a really dangerous path for our boys, especially. It's happening to girls too, though.
So this is a funny one. So it came in two different ways. Advice on when your kids are at a friend's house who might have different standards of technology, but likewise, if they are at the grandparents' house who may even be buying them the technology, maybe don't have the same values or parameters.
Yeah, that's huge, isn't it? That's tough, because we're a family. We don't allow the Fortnite in our home for our middle schooler. That's just a boundary we have. But yet you go to a friend and they're all doing it. So we have allowed that. Like if you're going to be in someone's home and that's their boundaries, and I'm okay with you going there, then okay, you can dabble in that. But the grandparents is very, very difficult, because they have their way of doing things and we have our way of doing things. But I think it's the communication and like up front, getting ahead of it. This is how we feel. This is what we're trying to do. So if you could, try and respect that. But then you also have to be able to let your guard down a little bit with family members, because it's not worth the fight. So that's a really hard one. I don't know if there's an easy answer to that one. I mean, you can keep your kids too. Like, I feel like it's difficult because I don't know too many people. I don't know any, actually, families that my son is friends with that don't allow the video games, right? So am I going to not let him go over there and be with his friends and play that? I don't know. That's a decision you have to make, right? And so we just say, this is for our home, and we prefer you to be out playing in the backyard, but and usually having that conversation with the other parent. Usually that's very helpful, because they're usually respectful. Like, if, he's not allowed to do that, we're not going to do that while he's here. That usually will work too, if you're comfortable talking to the other parent.
So having the rule that you didn't give it sounds like your sons a phone until they were 16. I imagine many parents feel like that's going to be a battle, or they're going to be disliked, or their kids are going to resent them. I watched an interview you did with an officer, I can't remember his exact title,